Hi there, my name is Brian Larson. I'm living here in Merseyside in West Kirby in the UK, and I'm going to put up my first ever YouTube clip. Hopefully it'll work out, and it's on how to make brown bread. This is a recipe I got from a nurse back in Dublin when I was working my last job. That was back in 1998. And it's called Mary's Brown Bread, or now it might be called Brian's Brown Bread, but this is for those of you who've asked for the recipe and just want a quick reminder of how it works. So bear with me, it might take a while, but we'll go through the ingredients first. And I have you can click up, I put down up on the website, on the YouTube clip, I put up the full recipe, so you can click on that and have a look at it, but I'll show you what I use here. And we'll start off by doing all the ingredients that I laid out beforehand, okay? Now, first thing is the brown flour. This is very strong wholemeal brown flour that I use. That's 20 ounces of that. These are all imperial measurements I'm using, even though I'm a metric man myself. There's 5 ounces of plain flour. A skite of salt, I take that as being half a teaspoonful about. Then this is the dodgy ingredient that people sometimes find difficult to get. These are called pinhead oats originally, and they're sold as coarse oatmeal. If you're in the locality, they sell these up in, honest to goodness, in Hoylake, the next village up from West Kirby. This is bicarbonate of soda. Careful you don't use baking soda. I've done that a couple of times by accident. It's often sold in a similar kind of tin and it just does not work out. There's brown sugar, 3 teaspoonfuls of dark soft brown sugar. You try to get the soft stuff because you'll have to mix it up with the flour, and that's the part that I find the time consuming bit that I don't really like. And then the original recipe calls for buttermilk, sold in every corner shop in Dublin, but as it's hard to get hold of, I've substituted that with a mixture of plain yoghurt. I guess you could use frommage frais as well, about 250 mils of, or a half a tub of, what's that, just plain yoghurt. That's cheap to get down at the local supermarket. And skimmed milk, a bit of butter, your baking tins, mixing spoons, and large round mixing bowl is fine. I'm going to set this up now and mix it all together and see how we go from there. Okay, the first thing to do is you measure out your 5 ounces of plain white flour. Don't be too fussed about exactly the amount, measuring it out, 4 to 6, about that much. And you add in the 3 teaspoonfuls of brown sugar. You can put in a bit more, a bit less, but I put in about 3 of those yolks there. Pop it in there. And this is the place that you mix it up. If you just mix up the brown sugar with the plain white flour, you're less likely to end up with clumps of sugar as you cook it, which then turn into caramel. So when my wife makes it, she's less fussed about mixing it all up. She likes a little bit of the sweet caramelly stuff every now and again when you have it on your toast, but I'm a bit OCD myself, so prefer to get it all mixed up properly. I'm not going to be too fussed about it today. We're going on video. I usually stir it in a bit more than that. Now you add in all the other ingredients. All of these ingredients you add together dry until the very end. Okay, now that's a skite of salt. I was told it was more than a pinch, but less than a teaspoonful. That's probably a bit much, so I'll just put in that and throw the rest in the bin. Okay, don't want it too salty. Now, the recipe says 2 handfuls of these pinhead oats, or coarse oatmeal. Now, those are big hands, okay? So, I like it though, good for you. Get the bowels moving. 1, 2. Most people probably, when they do this recipe for a long time, they don't actually bother. What did I forget? I forgot my bicarbonate soda, not baking soda. Where's my other spoon? Another spoon, use the same one here. Okay, 3 teaspoonfuls of bicarbonate of soda or bread soda. 1, 2, and 3. Yeah. mix all of these small ingredients around in first, and then the last dry ingredient we'll put in will be the coarse, strong wholemeal flour, and we need 20 ounces of this, okay? So how much that is, I'm not too sure exactly. Measure it up, that's it. I usually know it's about the right amount because the bowl here is about full. Pop it in there, and then just mix it all around. The nice thing about this is you just mix all the dry ingredients around. You don't have to, there's no messing, waiting around for yeast to rise, for first rise, second rise, pulling the air out. You just mix all the ingredients in dry, add in your buttermilk ersatz solution afterwards, and Bob's your uncle. That's about mixed up enough, okay? I'm gonna, now, let's see here. What I do here, usually just take the buttermilk, well, originally buttermilk, this is just yogurt. I mix it around first a bit like that. Oops, put that out of the way so you can see. So just yogurt, that's just to mix it up to make it a bit runny, to get it all out of the tub. And then in it goes. I don't actually measure this out. The original recipe was, I think it was a pint of buttermilk, and then water as required. The important thing for this isn't the amounts that you put in of the liquid. The important thing is the consistency. Lots of people have made this recipe, like they like the taste of the brown bread, and then they go home and they say, I tried it, I made it exactly as you said, and it didn't work out. It didn't rise as much, it was too dry or whatever, and I think it's just the consistency is the important thing here. So don't get too fussed, especially on the liquid. I'll show you what I mean afterwards. And this is, well, should have opened the tin there beforehand. So I just put in a guess for the starters. You can measure it out if you want and then just add in afterwards. And the important thing is that, because you always put in more, you can always put in more liquid. It's a bit of a pain if you put in too much liquid to try and get the consistency back again, because then you're putting in more flour and it's just messy. So you can always put in more. And let's see, I'm not sure whether I'll turn off the video now until I just get this all mixed up again, but we'll see how it goes. Don't take too long. And a bit more. Yeah, it's weird working under time pressure because this will take ages to upload to YouTube, I guess, afterwards, but it's all in a good cause. Okay. So this came from a nurse I used to work with back in Dublin when I was working in psychiatry, and she had kids and she used to commute in from Wicklow, and she was late one morning. She says, oh, sorry Brian, we're late. She said, the traffic was terrible and I had to get the brown bread out of the brown bread didn't work out. I thought, are you trying to tell me you're superwoman? You've got kids, you're commuting into work for 9 o'clock in the morning, and you get up first and you make brown bread before you come in. I don't believe a word of it. So she said, no, it's the simplest recipe. So just write it down for me. If it's a simple recipe, just write it down. Now, hold on. Let's see, now we're nearly getting there. The consistency that you're going to look for is, you want to be able to see, when you lift up the wooden spoon, you want it to not drop off in drops, but not run off as a liquid. So just right that point between the two. Hold on. There, so about that, just maybe a tiny bit more. That would work out okay like that. I'll just go a little bit more, just because I find if you make it moister, because we usually toast it afterwards, so if you make it moister, then it's really nice if you cook it in the toaster after. It stays fresh. This stuff will here stay fresh for a good few days now, and it won't. Let's see here. Okay, see that? So you could do it like that, or maybe just a tiny bit more. And that's it. Okay. Okay, that's it. Now I'll show you that. Let's just switch off this camera and go on to the next. Just clean this up a bit and then we'll move on to the next bit. Okay, we're moving on to the final stage now. Mix this all up and you can see it's quite gloopy, sort of runs off the spoon just before forming drops. And pour it into half of. Now, I forgot to show you this actually. I did this while the camera was off. These are buttered, liberally buttered. I think these are called 2-pound tins, and just put it in about half and half divided out. And sometimes makes a bit of a mess if it goes over the side. A bit more cleaning up to do afterwards, especially if it cakes in. These tins here used to be Teflon coated, but they've had many years of scraping, digging out, especially if you forget to butter them. It is a pain in the backside to try and get this stuff out. And I'll put that away. I've gone a bit uneven here, so I'm going to dig out some of this stuff here. There's a bit over the side. I scrape off the bits off the spoon. Waste not, want not. Every little bit helps. Every little bit is going to help a lot more now that election day is yesterday. The Tories are back in. Food banks going to be on the rise again. But guys, it's all going to work out for the best. Be happy. Okay, shouldn't politicize, especially not the first one. Okay, now essentially that could go into the oven now, but for a little bit of decoration, if you just get the pinhead oats or coarse oatmeal and just sprinkle a bit on the top there like that. Go out to the corners. What was it in that television program, Shameless, where the guy says one of the most important lessons in life that his dad taught him, or the only important lesson was, when you're buttering bread, take care of the corners because the rest will look after itself. If you bang them up and down like this, the pinhead oats jump around and they stick to the liquid. Otherwise, if you don't do that, when you take it out of the oven, then they all fall over the place. Let me get this out here. Okay, so there's the loaves there, and the oven, I put it on 200, that's probably not focused in there now, but 220 or a very hot oven. I use a fan oven, fan oven for 15 minutes. Here's the first one in there, and the second one, and actually I put them side by side with one just overlapping a bit because these babies are going to rise, and when they rise they sometimes rise in towards the middle, but then they just flow into each other, otherwise it drops off down on the side. Anyway, shut that there and leave that on for, let's say we'll time it for 15 minutes, and after 15 minutes we're going to reduce that to 180 for another 3/4 of an hour. So the whole thing takes an hour to cook. And hopefully we'll have 2 nice loaves of brown bread to finish off. Oh, we'll see in a couple of minutes. Okay, here's the grand finale now. Timer's gone off and we were on 180 degrees. And let's see what this has turned out like. Okay, take these out. Usually I'd have 2 gloves here, but with the camera I'll just work with the one. Let's see how we go here. I've got to empty these out of the tin. If you butter them well, you should find that they should just turn up like that and just slide out easily like that. Bit of a pain if you leave a bit of non-buttered stuff. That seems to be working well enough. And you'll know that they're done if they should sound a bit. That sounds good. A bit like a hollow drum there. And see the nice effect of the pinhead oats there like that? So usually you get rises a bit on one side, sometimes it can split a little bit down the middle. There, 2 lovely loaves of brown bread, and they taste absolutely delicious. Last for a couple of days if you just keep it out on the breadboard, or once they've cooled down, if you put them in the freezer, they freeze really well. Once they've defrosted, they taste as fresh as if they were baked the previous day. And hey, that's my first experiment with YouTube, and there's the recipe for brown bread. So hey, who knows, I might do another one at some stage. Anyway, thank you for watching, and leave any comments down below. Bye.